What up, my tribe? StockHauler here. Today we are going to have an instant replay on CNXA. That's Charlie Nancy X-ray Alpha. So if you want to pull that chart up. This stock ran a couple days ago and it actually made it onto our scoreboard. CNXA right there on the 28th or 29th. It was a penny stock. This one kind of tricked us. It hit 100% and it held 100%, and then it pulled back 80%. And a lot of us got stuck in it. And what DI discovered was it was not a top gainer. And so this is something very important, and it's not here on the chart or on the scoreboard. So one of our rules for entry is that the stock has to go to the number one spot and hold in that spot. Why is that important? Because in the number one spot, it has all eyes on it. And I don't know, it didn't make it to number one, but it made it to like number two or number three, right? There might have been other stocks in play, but everything else lined up with the scoreboard. But that, I mean, I'm going to show you why we learned this. And luckily we learned it the hard way, and then we had a happy ending. So let me take you back to that day on the 29th. I have the 5-minute chart pulled up. Let me minimize myself. So 5-minute chart up. What do we do when it's climbing the top gainer list? See, that might have been where we got stuck, is it was climbing the top gainer list. So y'all have to make sure and remember that, did it ever make it to the top gainer list? Did it stay there? Did it stay there long enough? So about there is 100%. And right there is where a lot of us took our entries. Okay. And a lot of us got stuck. I started buying this at 29 cents, I believe. Let's see what it was at when it hit 100%. Okay, yeah, 29 cents. So this yellow line indicates 29 cents. So it had already come up from, looks like at the very beginning of the day, it had come up from 14.96, ran all the way up there. Okay, and so obviously when all the scoreboard criteria is met, including that it's a number one gainer, it never made it to the number one gainer spot, and that's where we failed, then we can take entry here, right? So let's see how this plays out. It was horrible. It was horrible for all involved, because there were some guys in there that were down thousands of dollars, and then something miraculous happened later in the day. So look at this, all this pain and suffering. I mean, technically, if you entered here, then you should have been selling right here on the 5-minute when it went into a sell. That would have been the ideal. But if you go in with too much size at the top and you don't have any ammunition to average down, actually, you know what? I believe some of us tried to do that, and then we never got a bounce enough to get back out. So then we're all trapped in it, right? It pulled down all the way from 29 cents, the 100, well, actually went all the way up to 33 cents, but then it pulled all the way back down to 18 cents. That's insane. And then it took off again in market open, barely made it up there. I don't think anybody got out here, because they were probably had an average down here, weren't able to get out. And then right there at the end of the day in market afternoon, it launched again. And this is where most everybody got out, right here. I, unfortunately, at this time, still had too high of an average to get out. And so I chose to stay in it. And this is why. if you're trading with the cash account, don't make the mistake of trading with unsettled funds. There's lots of lessons to be learned here. I went into this with unsettled funds, and I went in high. I should have never done that. If we're going to play the 100% strategy, and this is the reason why, if I sell before 2 days after buying that with unsettled funds, I would have got good faith violations. And I have done that in the past where I got too many and they locked me out of trading for 90 days. So it's nothing to mess around with if you're limited by well, you just don't want to be limited. So had I gone in with settled funds, I could have got out along with everybody else here. And I believe at that point I would have gotten out with $2,000 profit because I did my best averaging down. So because I couldn't sell, I had to hold. And believe me, I suffered. I held through this. And see, let me tell you something. Once the strategy is over, once the criteria, the setup is over, you're no longer trading. You are now gambling. Because then at this point, I had no rules for exit. I was down. I lost all control of the stock. And as soon as you lose control, that's when you actually, your strategy's out of play and you're screwed. And by dumb luck, I was blessed, but it was blessed. It was a blessing and a curse. But so I held through market close. The next morning, pre-market, I got to suffer some more because it sold off even deeper. And luckily, one thing I've taught myself is I saved some ammunition to average down one more time. Because before this stock ran, it had ranged between, it was ranging around 14 cents, right? And then it took off that pre-market run, and then it took off again a couple times during the day. And now here I am, it's pulled all the way back down to 18. And I'm still holding through here. And it pulled down right here to 1830. And I kept holding it, averaging down. I think my average started at like 29 cents and I started averaging down. I just kept averaging down until I ran out of ammunition. And I could have just sold and taken the $2,000 loss, but because the range had been it had only been at 14 before the run, I actually got my average all the way down to 20 cents thereabouts. It's just a little bit above 20 cents. But this thing pulling down to 18 had me worried, right? And then that next day, it pumped up again, but not very far. It only pumped up a couple cents from 18 to 21. And I think at this time, I think I actually came green right here, but only by a couple dollars. I should have got out there. I didn't. Breaking more rules because, again, there's no rules in place. I'm gambling. I'm hoping. And then, guys, I woke up this morning at 4 a.m., and this was my life, trading sideways. And I was sitting there thinking, you know what, if this breaks through support and it drops back to 14 cents, I'm going to be down $2,000. And then something miraculous happened throughout the night. I'd been putting my phone down, coming and looking it up. And I don't know if this was a blessing or a curse, but I never could go back to sleep after I got up at 4. And that's another problem with trading over swinging is you're mentally engaged. You might not think you are, but you are every waking hour, every minute of the time that you're stuck in that trade. So at this point, I had got my last 10,000 shares were at $18.23 thereabouts. And then something happened. The price started moving. And I remember these candles. These are the 5-minute candles. And at this point, I had 37,500 shares. Okay. And you got to keep in mind that my mindset was I have to save myself. I don't know what's going on right here. I think it's just kind of maybe shorts are covering. I hadn't looked at the news. I just thought like, okay, shorts are covering. The last couple of days, it's only gone up to like 30 cents and then fallen apart. So one thing I didn't do, and this is not ideal, right? Obviously, this is me trying to save my bad choice. Of not checking to make sure it was the number one gainer before entering the trade. My bad choice of more averaging down multiple times, going in with too much capital. And so here I am just expecting maybe a jump to 33 cents and then I would be out. Well, I sold 10,000 shares when it started running, I sold 10,000 shares at 22, sold like another 10,000 at like 23. By the time I was actually out of the trade, by the time I think my last fill was like 32 cents. Okay. And again, in my mind, I was like, well, that's it. That's the high. It's out. Well, unbeknownst to me, they had regained NASDAQ compliance. So I probably need to add news to my confirmation. But what I realized this morning that I didn't do is if I had, I was just trading on my phone. If I had gone to TradingView, because I was looking at my Webull chart, right? If I had gone to TradingView and put this on the 5-minute, let me show you this. Do you remember our beloved friend, the Tilson? Even though this was no longer a virgin, it had really good news. It was the perfect time of day for this scenario. Right before market open, the news dropped, and then the volume just poured in. Imagine if for a backup plan or a plan of exit, which I haven't got ingrained in my soul yet or my mind, is imagine if I turned on this computer and sat there and thought, I'm going to hold on the 5-minute until the Tilson goes into a sell. I would have made, I think at one point I had like 240% gain from that 20 cents. So I was in it, my average was 20 and it ran all the way to 73 cents. Guys, had I held those 37,500 shares, I would have been close to around $20,000 if I'd have just held it here and sold in these, when it turned to red on the 5. So in the future, if you're trying to bail yourself out of a bad situation and you don't know what to do, you've lost your entry and exit point rules, you've thrown all the rules out. I highly encourage you to remember this lesson that I had to learn the hard way. And this is just dumb luck. This news could have not popped and I would have been stuck in this going sideways all day. And at this point I was down like $800, and but I closed up. Luckily, when I did so, I still was up. I still made $1,500 on the trade. And so I have to be happy with that. And that I was lucky enough to get out and with a win after such a bad entry based on our rules of engagement. So lesson learned. Let's keep it going, the 100% and beyond strategy. Put that 100% line on there. And I just for fun, let me chart this real quick. This isn't a virgin, so I'm not going to waste my time, but take it out to 100%. Right on the day. Oh, I just need to move the line right there. Well, I'm not even going to try this because it's not 100% strategy. It's no longer a virgin, so don't even worry about that. Was just my screw up. I just wanted to share it with you. I hope this taught you guys something. I hope you learned something from it. You've maybe done this before, but the most important thing that I've learned is save ammunition and don't go in too big in the start, because if you go in too big at the start, you're screwed. You're going to be just stuck. Like the other day, if I had gone in the very beginning with all my money at 30 cents, okay, yeah, sure, I would have got out here 2 days later, but I've also been in stocks where it never came back. I started at $7, tried to average down, and the stock ended up going to 2 cents. Did a reverse split. My 60,000 shares went to 1,000 shares, and I sold for a huge, it's the biggest loss I've ever had on any trade. Maybe I'll do a full video on that sometime if you're interested. But anyways, y'all have a good day. I hope this helps you. And I hope it helps all of us know what not to do. Take care. We'll see you next time.